This message is for people who feel empowered at this moment. People who really want to step up and be a leader in some sort of way. They really want to make an impact and maybe lead people into a different way of thinking. These are people who want to be leaders. So this message is for you. What we're dealing with right now in general. So, I pulled the King of Wands as the very first card. That's why I'm saying that this message is for people who want to lead. This message is really about, because the King of Wands, he is the starter. He is the boss. He knows what needs to be done and he knows what action needs to take place. And for many of you guys, you're either there or you're very close to being there. One of the biggest challenges we're seeing is a lack of strength and a lack of hope from people. A lot of people feel hopeless right now. A lot of people don't feel like they have the strength to step forward or to do something or to make a difference. A lot of people feel very stuck. And I think it's because for a lot of people, they're experiencing something they've never experienced before. For a lot of other people, they know what it's like to be ostracized. They know what it's like to be othered. They know what it's like to be isolated from the rest of society. They already know these things. So for them, stepping up is something they've had to do every day of their life. That's something that, and this is you who's watching. You're somebody who has dealt with these issues and has always had to step up, has always had to be the person to say something because you were the person being ostracized. You didn't benefit from not saying anything because you were the person on the chopping block again and again and again. This could be in your family, or this could be in school whenever you were growing up, just like environments in general. Like you were always the person that had to stand up because you had the other perspective. You were the person who didn't fit in with the status quo. And so now we're dealing with a lot of people who were benefiting from their privilege repeatedly. And now they're finding out, right? They're in a situation where a lot of their rights are also on the chopping block. So for a lot of people, they're kind of like, they're at this point where they're like, what do we do? I feel so lost. Some people have been beaten down for pretty much their whole lives, and they are at a point where they don't really know what else is left. I would say especially disabled people, there's not much you can do to fight back whenever you're already extremely physically limited, right? So that can be like a very big difficulty. There are a lot of online movements and a lot of online things that are happening that you can definitely engage in, but it would take searching for those things, and it would take also, I guess, not falling into the pit of despair, which I know can be difficult. I'm chronically ill myself. Sometimes, especially whenever I'm in a bad flare-up for a few weeks, it feels endless. It feels like there's nothing else. It feels like, what's the point? We have those moments. It's okay to honor yourself in those moments. But also whenever you're feeling a little bit better and feeling like you want to come back, you have the power to. There's power in the people. So a lot of people, that's so funny, I accidentally switched these cards around. But it was the Star reversed and the Strength reversed. So that definitely tells me that they're interplaying with each other, especially because I accidentally placed them in the opposite spots. It's telling me for sure that that's what we're dealing with, is people not having hope and people not feeling strong enough or not sure what to do. There's definitely a lack of leadership in general of like where people need to go and what they should be doing. On the other side of this, we have the Moon, and then we have the Six of Moons. So to me, this is kind of like part of the solution and part of what we need to be looking at. So for the Moon is usually whenever we're looking in the mirror and we break some sort of illusion about how we think that things should be. Whenever you look into a body of water, sometimes you can see what's reflected behind you, but it's upside down, right? So that gives us the perspective of things are not always as they seem. So we have to remind ourselves, and a lot of us are already actively doing this, we have to remind ourselves that what we're seeing out there might not actually be what the issue is, or like what, I don't know how to say the words, but like you see something and you know that something else more important is going on behind the scenes that we're not seeing because we're being distracted. They're like, oh, look at this thing that's doesn't really mean anything. And I see that from all sides as well. You know what I mean? Some sides particularly do it, but I see it from everywhere. They focus on the wrong thing, like I see something that is like so petty and doesn't really make any sense. And I'm like, I don't care about that. What I care about is this like much bigger issue that seems to be being ignored or like isn't being reported on or whatever is going on in the world, So this is a reminder to, I think what we're getting here is to remind people that things are not always as they seem, right? To remind people that sometimes things are illusionary, things are designed in a certain way to make us think and feel certain ways, right? So that's why we do kind of like choose our leaders and people that we go to for insight. And what a lot of people are looking for right now is authenticity and somebody who can say the things that others might be afraid to say, but the things that are the truth. What we really need right now in a time whenever we're having a misinformation war is to follow people who are telling the truth. What you see with your eyes aligns with what they're telling you, and going to different areas and different sources to find the truth, right? The Six of Moons tells me the biggest teacher in what is happening right now is the past. So something you can do to be a little bit radical if you don't have very much energy is to continue to learn about history, continue to inform people. I didn't really make an effort before to tell people things that I had learned, but now I am. And a lot of people are surprised and didn't know that when I started telling people about how in literature, women weren't allowed to tell stories that ended happily. A lot of people are like, what? I didn't know that. That's crazy. Like, why would they do that? But what we're seeing right now with the oppression and suppression of women is these stories. You know, they don't want women to have positive stories or happily ever afters. They want us to play our role and to not speak up and to not say anything. So the Six of Moons tells us to look at the past, look at our ancestors, and look at how they dealt with things, right? They didn't stand down. So for a lot of these leaders, that's going to be your place to look for inspiration and how to inspire other people, is to learn about history, share it with other people, inspire other people as well. Like, I know that this like sucks what we're going through right now, but a lot of people are saying it. We've been here, or we've been in worse situations, and we've gotten out of it. How far will that go? Who's to say, right? But it's important to remember the long-term goal of humanity and the continuation of the human race and a future for our children. So that's something to kind of keep in mind whenever we are feeling directionless, hopeless, as if we're without strength, those type of things. It's important to remember the important goal of the continuation. So yes, look at our ancestors who have dealt with either similar issues or worse issues and how they moved forward and how they got past it. For a lot of people around the world, they still have not had even a semblance of liberation that a lot of other places have. So it's important to also consider and give, respect to the people who that is their experience. And the hope is to continue to liberate all of us, right? None of us are free until all of us are free, right? So yeah, that is my reading that I am getting. It ended up being very political, but I'm just thinking about the world and what's going on. And then these cards jumped out from the deck for me to share this message with you.